guys, today we are going to look at teaching your dog boundary games, or station training, place training, or centre bed. You'll hear them called different names in different places. What this behaviour looks like is, when asked, your dog will go to a bed or a blanket, some kind of boundary. They'll settle down there no matter what distractions are going on around them, and they'll wait there until you give them the cue that they can come off the bed, ideally. So this is a really useful behaviour. It instills some impulse control and calmness into your dog. It's something that we used a lot of when we were introducing Max and Percy, and when Max first joined our home, because it just helped him to relax and learn how to settle down. It's also something that we've used a lot around food, because Max was terrible for stealing food off of your plates, the counters, all sorts of things. So now he knows that whenever food comes out or whenever we're eating, he must go to his bed, and he will get something nice when he's there. What they're up to. It's also a useful one to take out and about with you, so you can use it in the car for safety, so that when you open the door, your dog waits for that cue to jump out rather than just springing out straight away. And we also use it if we go to a cafe or a pub garden. We'll take a little blanket with us, pop it down, and Max knows where he should be and what he should be doing. And that just avoids any unwanted behaviours when we're in those environments, because he knows from that context what he should be doing. It also gives him a safe space to be when we're out and about as well. So what I'm going to do is show you sort of from step one how we would train this. Do bear in mind that Max doesn't know this one, so he's going to progress a lot more quickly than your dogs might. So please don't be frustrated when your dog doesn't automatically lay down when we go into this. And what I'm going to do is use a method called shaping. So with shaping, what we're doing is thinking of our end goal, our end behaviour, and starting from sort of nothing, and we're going to mark and reward little incremental steps towards that end behaviour. So for this, I'm going to be using a clicker. So when I click, that means that Max was doing the behaviour I want, and he's going to get a treat. If you don't have a clicker, or you don't want to use a clicker, what you can do is use a verbal marker. So good, and in exactly the same way, that means that he's going to get a treat. So they work in exactly the same way. All that is doing is saying to the dog, what you just did was what I wanted, you're going to get rewarded for that. So what we're going to do is start off by introducing the bed as a novel thing into the environment. Because dogs are naturally quite nosy animals, the likelihood is he's going to come and check that out. So to start with, any interaction with the bed, I'm going to mark and reward that on the bed. So I'm going to put the piece of food on the bed. And the reason for that is that we're making the bed a valuable place to be, because food comes from there. Okay? So starting with any interaction with it, that means looking at it, moving towards it, that's all going to get marked and rewarded. Then, once your dog has got the idea that orienting towards that bed is getting them the food, you can start increasing that criteria towards touching the bed, stepping on the bed, getting on the bed, standing on the bed, sitting, lying, and so on and so forth. So what we'll do is introduce the bed into the environment. Sorry, Percy. And Max stood on there, so he's going to get a piece of food. And once he's finished that one, because he is still on here, I'm going to mark and reward him again. So we're going to give him several pieces of food in quick succession while he's on that bed, to teach him that this is a valuable place to be. This is a place worth being. And I'm getting these treats in nice and quickly, as you can see, so that he doesn't have time to get off the bed of his own accord. So now that he's had a few pieces of food on there, I'm going to use my last one and bowl it away from the bed to reset him. So he stepped towards the bed, so I clicked, and he's going to get fed on the bed again. Throw another piece away, and I'm going to wait for him to step onto the bed before I click this time. So when your dog is already on there, You can click, but it doesn't matter if you do miss one or two. The dog still knows that it's being on the bed that's getting them the food. Right. So now I'm going to wait for Max to be standing on the bed before I click. Nearly offered a sit, that was nice. Very good. And like I say, Max does know this one, which is why he's moving very quickly. He's had a few on there, going to roll one away. And this time when he comes onto the bed, I'm going to wait for a sit or a lie down. What you may need to do with your dogs is once they're on, lure them into the sit before you mark and reward them. Once you've repeated that quite a lot of times, the dog will chain the two together and they will start to automatically offer that sit. And likewise with the down, it might be worth teaching your dog the lie down position separately, or you can lure your dog into that position if you want to. And again, your dog will chain those two together. So now I'm going to wait for Max to come onto the bed and lie down, because that is my final behaviour that I'm looking for. And notice that that food is still going on the bed. And that's really important for when I start moving away, okay? So what I can do now that he is reliably coming to the bed and lying down is add a release cue. So this is going to be the word to tell Max, you can come off the bed now, you're done. Okay. So for me that word is okay, and you'll notice that I said okay and then threw the piece of food away. Okay. Without me having to use the food to lure him, without me having to say anything, he knows that that is what I want him to be doing. So once I release him now, what I'm going to do is add my cue to tell him that I want him to come and lie down on the bed. And we do that as the dog is doing the behaviour, so that they can learn to associate the word with the behaviour. So they know that that's what that behaviour is called, so that later on you can ask for it. Okay, so, okay. Percy likes to be involved. On your bed. So you can call this behaviour whatever you want. Settle, place, bed. I say on your bed because that's what I will naturally say in the moment. It's probably not the best cue because it's too long, but that's what works for us. So you want to be repeating that quite a few times so the dog can learn to pair the two together. Okay. On your bed. And you only want to say on your bed when you're 99% sure that your dog is definitely going to come and lie down on the bed. If you feel like they're going to wander off, don't say it. Because at this stage, they don't know what it means. Okay. On your bed. So you'll notice that up until this stage, I've had food in my hand and have been dishing out those pieces of food in really quick succession. And that's because we want to get that food in nice and quickly, so the dog doesn't have a chance to get off the bed before you've told them that they can. Once you get to a certain point, you can start increasing the amount of duration in between each piece of food, but do that really, really gradually. So to start with, it's pretty instantaneous, one piece after the other to keep them on the bed. What you can do is then add a second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds in between each piece of food to gradually increase the duration on that behaviour. So now what I can do is just take one piece of food out of my treat pouch at a time. And every now and then, while I'm still standing here, Max is going to get a piece of food for remaining on the bed. So we're rewarding this duration of the behaviour. And what you'd want to do is gradually build that up to minutes, 10 minutes of sitting on there with only one piece of food. So obviously you don't want to be feeding your dog constantly. It can also be useful to have your dog on a lead, just so that you're limiting their options. So the best option is just to lie down on the bed and have a little chill out. Oh, right. Max? What's this? Sorry, Max gets quite upset if dogs walk past our garden. It's something we're working on. So what I've done is just increase my reward, because he was finding this situation a little bit difficult because we're outside. So I'm now using pate instead of just his normal dog biscuits. And do bear in mind that things that are going on in the environment are going to be distractions to your dogs. So you can hear there's dogs barking, there's people talking, and that's all going to be stuff that he might find difficult. And therefore, even though it's not a distraction from me, it is still a distraction. And you can use those things. And you can use this behaviour to help teach your dog to be calm around certain things. Okay, so what I can do now that we've added a bit of duration into the behaviour, is start to add some distractions and distance. So what I would recommend is that with your distractions and your distance, you start again really, really small. So I'm just going to add some movement, mark and reward him for remaining on the bed nice and calmly while I move. He's okay at that stage, so what I'm going to do is start adding a little bit of distance. And remember, break this down into really, really tiny steps. So I'm not even doing a full step away. I'm just rocking back on my foot. Because also it's making it more difficult that I have the food, and the food is going to be moving away. And I would always come back in to reward your dog, so that they have had a nice reward for that duration that they've done, even around distractions. Because if you move away and then you call them off, they haven't been rewarded for that really nice stay. So he got up there, so I probably made it a little bit too difficult for him. So I'm just going to go and do that again, but ever so slightly easier. Be creative with your distractions. Remember that when you first teach this, it has a certain picture to your dog, and any alterations on that picture are going to make it more difficult. So if you've taught it and you're standing, try it sitting down, and vice versa. And also remember, if you want to be able to use this on different objects, teach it on different objects. So Max is able to do this on a blanket, on a bed, on a cushion, on my coat that I've put on the floor for him. He will use anything like that as a boundary. And again, with like distance, remember that your dog's not going to be able to go from this stage to you walking out of the room. It's something that you have to build up gradually. If at any point your dog does break the position, gets off the bed, probably a sign that we've made it a little bit too difficult for them, and I would just go back a couple of steps and break those down, make it a little bit easier, so that we're always setting the dog up to succeed. I hope that all makes sense. Any questions on that, let me know. Happy training.